Councillor, particularly Councillor Watson and Councillor Walker have been very active on this issue. Our practical issue is until the government or the Environmental Protection Agency steps in, the council could ban the use of glyphosate. However, we are, but one user. Many gardeners, farmers, organisations, weed management, community organisations use glyphosate, so it's sort of bigger than just council. So that's part of the discussion with the weed advisory and herbicide reduction group.
Perhaps public pressure could help. In the Netherlands it's forbidden for private use, so glyphosate is forbidden. Christchurch Council has forbidden the use of glyphosate in any public areas. There's many restrictions that can be put in place.
Yep, and that's the work that we're doing. Yeah. So would someone like to, no, I think we're done. Yep, so I'm happy to move the vote of thanks. Seconded Councillor Wayne Walker. I'll put that. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. And Councillor Lee, you'll be in touch to help follow up with the local board. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And moving on to our third presentation, we've got our group from Sustainable Future Collective. So Isabel and I'm not too sure how many people want to come up, but whoever needs to come up, please do. That's fine. And warm welcome.
Thank you.
It's lovely to have you.
Thank you.
So the 5 minutes are yours.
Cool. Kia ora, hello, I'm Isabel. I'm a student at the University of Auckland, and I'm here with Blaze and Tess, and we represent the Sustainable Future Collective. We're a club on campus at University of Auckland, and we aim to drive sustainable practice on and off campus in our city. So, we're here because in February this year, Christchurch City Council signed a partnership with EcoWare to introduce compostable packaging for the city's major events. Packaging made from plants, not oil, that goes back into our soil. To me, this makes perfect sense. This decision will divert thousands of single-use packaging items per event from going straight to landfill or ending up in our oceans, leaching toxins into our natural environment and causing the kind of damage that I'm sure you're all very much aware of. This sparked us to think, why doesn't Auckland do the same? It has been normalised to use plastic in everything from the tips of our shoelaces to packaging our food. It's time to change this behaviour. Plastic is not sustainable, and it's time to think about our future. So, let's talk about plastic. Plastic does not degrade. It simply breaks down into smaller and smaller pieces, poisoning species who cannot distinguish plastic from food. It has been estimated that there are 5.25 trillion pieces of plastic debris in our oceans. And it has also been estimated that by 2050, there will be more plastic than fish in our seas. Plastics enter our food chain, and we ourselves eventually consume it on our dinner plates. Let's not forget that plastic is toxic. So, putting the environment aside, what about our health? So, if every single piece of plastic ever made still exists today and will continue to exist for thousands of years, put away out of sight in a hole that we dug in the ground, but continuing to leach toxins into our environment, why are we still producing plastic in the quantities that we produce today? So, Christchurch went through a 6-month trial period and chose EcoWare as the most sustainable partner company to reduce waste at city events. But Auckland has many options. It's not just EcoWare. There is Innocent Packaging, Friendly Pack, Kiwi Green Pack, and Vegieware, and many more. Christchurch is leading the way, and there is simply no reason why Auckland cannot follow suit. The shift to compostable and biodegradable packaging at city events would be in line with Auckland's new membership late last year in C40 cities, and the aim to cut emissions by 40% in 2040 via action plans like Low Carbon Auckland. Let's not forget that plastic production requires non-renewable fossil fuels like oil and produces greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide. On that note, the United Nations has just launched the Clean Seas campaign to eliminate major sources of marine litter within the next 5 years. 10 countries have already jumped on board, taking drastic steps to ban plastic bags, improve waste management, redesign products, and target throwaway consumer behaviours, all before irreversible damage is done to our oceans. It's time that New Zealand stands up to the challenge to reduce our plastic waste and put our environment first. It starts small, one partnership with EcoWare or a similar compostable packaging company. Let's live up to the clean, green image that we outwardly project. Every step towards more sustainable practices is a double-headed arrow, in that it not only reduces waste in that moment in time, but it slowly normalizes sustainable actions in our society, influencing individuals to make more eco-conscious decisions and fostering a reusable culture. There is no time like the present. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Any questions? Fire away.
Fantastic. We could start with our own cafe, actually, which would be a really good thing to do. You know,
Yes.
thousands of people work in this building. Wouldn't that be great if we didn't have the little plastic bottles and the takeaway cups? So,
Yes, these
point
things.
taken. Why don't we do that?
We
Exactly.
could have had that in a paper bag, couldn't we?
I know. Some of us are fairly keen, so let's talk about that publicly and see if we can make that happen. Councillor Walker.
Sure. The cups you're talking about, can they be composted at home, or do they require the really hot commercial composting?
So for EcoWare, they need to be composted in their facilities, but there are a few different industry partners which they have trucks and they can come to events, for example, and there are also different sort of plants around the city. I think there's 98 in New Zealand, so because they do need the heat and the right,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Yep, we're going to sort of do a little bit of name and shame in a friendly and supportive way. But as the chair of the Little Waste Advisory Group, I'm on a mission to audit us internally and make that start before we go and push out into the community. Mayor Goff.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you very much, Isabel, for you and your team for your presentation today. As you're aware, unfortunately, we cannot pass bylaws to ban plastic bags or to put a charge on plastic bags, but I have approached a number of MPs across a range of different political parties for a local bill that would put, if we put 10 cents a bag charge on supermarkets, even with sensible exemptions for, you know, red meat, fish, etc., we'd probably, on the English model, cut down our plastic bag use by 85%. So if your group can help council by lobbying members of parliament to support a local bill or a private member's bill to put a charge on plastic bags in Auckland, we could make some huge progress. We could probably cut 500 million bags out of the system a year. That would be massive progress, and
Absolutely.
people adapt very quickly to that. So thank you very much for your work.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
I had a quick question. Thank you, Madam Chair. Isabel, thank you. That's really, really good. And I think the challenge you've given to Auckland Council to do something for their own events is one that I hope that we will take up. Do you know how long Christchurch have been doing this and any data around that as far as, you know, tangible success and change of maybe other residents' behaviour as a result, etc.?
I believe that it's very recent, so I read about it in the news in February, just last month.
Oh, okay, so it's very, okay. So
Yeah.
I think, okay, great, thanks.
Yeah. And on a small scale, some of the more community-based events will have a zero waste target, and they will require the food vendors to only use the starch packaging and the compostable packaging, and people seem to cope.
Yeah.
So
Like
it's a
Kahu
good
Bay,
thing.
zero waste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the
My word.
way that things need to go in the future. So thank you. Did we put that? It's been moved. Seconded. Sorry, who's that? Oh, John. Sorry, Councillor.
No, sorry, just actually followed on from the Mayor's question in terms of effectiveness, and I know he quoted the UK model, but certainly in a number of cities that have imposed that charge, the results have been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
In terms of, you know, allocation of effort and reward, what have you gone into that area in terms of
Finer
lobby?
details?
I'm just looking to add a cost to bags to try and get some traction in that with the government.
Okay. I was mostly focusing on EcoWare because I thought I would challenge it one step at a time, and if I came in here and said, well, plastic is bad, we need to do this, 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 and this, I think it wouldn't work. So I haven't looked into the finer details of how exactly we would lobby to tax plastic bags and things, but I think that would definitely be a question to look into in more detail going forward.
So we're very good here at getting people who are doing good things, asking them to do even more. That's what we do.
Yeah, I think the Mayor's idea of joining in the lobbying is good. We seconded the remit at Local Government New Zealand last year with Palmerston North for the banning of plastic bags. It's been pretty hard yakka trying to get any traction on that, so I think this might just, through Mayor Goff's efforts, I think if we kind of lift it back out and re-energise, that's a good thing. So I'll put the recommendation that our group be thanked, seconded by Councillor Cooper. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? That's carried. So thank you very much, and thank you for the presentation, and let's keep in touch.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Have a good day, everybody.
Hugely appreciated. So we'll just do a
She used to
time
dance with my
check.
daughter at dancing competitions in ballet when they were little, when they're like 10. The 9, but she's from Mount Eda, 16.
I'll just do a time check. I'm going to suggest that we take Jenna Wooten at this stage. We've got our briefing at 10:30, but Jenna's here to update us on the Masters Games. I think it's why don't we do that? We've got 6 minutes before 10:30. I think Jenna's a woman of great competency and expertise, and we can get the headline highlights. Thanks, Jenna.
Fantastic. Look, thank you very much for the opportunity to come and speak with you all this morning. As discussed when we were last together back in December last year, today is very much an opportunity to reconnect on the games, given they are just around the corner. So as of today, we've actually got 37 days until the opening ceremony, which I hope I'm not the only one in the room that feels incredibly energised and enthusiastic about that fact. But just a couple of things to recap, just to make sure everyone is on top of the detail with the event. The World Masters Games is the largest multi-sport event in the world. It will be the largest event New Zealand will have hosted since the 2011 Rugby World Cup, and we know it'll be the largest event that we will host in at least the next decade. We are aware, based on previous games, that there are three main reasons people get involved in the event. The first is, of course, a love for sport. A very close second is their desire to socialise, and a third is the desire that they have to experience a new destination while they're involved in the games. We're working very hard on ensuring that the event delivers significant returns to the City of Auckland, so we're projecting over $30 million worth of new money coming into the local economy and over 244,000 visitor nights. So just a few new pieces of information for you. We have officially closed the application process for our pit crew volunteers. As you've heard me talk about previously, we require up to 4,000 volunteers to help us over the duration of the games, and volunteer shifts have actually already started. So many of our volunteers are already trained, they've gone through an orientation process, they've picked up their uniform and their accreditation. And the remaining number, which is around 2,500, will be going through that same process between now and the end of next week. And there's just a few photos on the slide here which shows the orientation and training process which is underway. We've been particularly pleased with the response that we've had from Aucklanders in regards to helping volunteer around the event. And this is something that I think is a real legacy from the previous major events that the city has hosted. A lot of these people have done Rugby World Cup and they have done Cricket World Cup. So great to see that continuing. In terms of sports, you'll recall this slide here. So we started off in February 2016 with 20 sports on sale, and we now only have 6 that remain open for registrations. Now those 6 will remain open until the 31st of March, or they will close prior if they reach capacity. So the sports that are still there for you all and for others to consider are the cycling, criterium and mountain bike, the ocean swim, we've got triathlon, and we also have the 10K and the half marathon.
No thanks.
Why not? Why not?
Sadly,
Come on,
there's
Al,
no
you can do
doubt.
it.
Because we do need to point out we are in the presence of the police fours and pairs world champion.
Synchronised swimming.
There you go.
I knew we were going to lose
Pairs for
There is certainly
Benefit
something
to
for everyone, and I think this slide demonstrates the diversity of our participants that are involved. So as of this morning, we have over 27,000 people registered to participate in the games. So a phenomenal number. They're ranging in age from 25 through to 101, and their motivations for being involved vary significantly. 101, yeah. So the 101-year-old is actually a lady from India. She's coming to compete with her son, who is 75. This is something they've done over a number of years together. So within these 27-odd thousand people, there are people that want to win a gold medal, and there are people that are there just to participate and have fun with family and friends. We're really thrilled with the international numbers that are coming through, so to already be up over 16,000. That's a huge result. We were actually anticipating around the 12,500 number, so I think that puts us in very good stead from a GDP and visitor nights perspective moving forward. And just for interest up there, I've also just noted the top 10 countries that have registered so far, but worthwhile noting that we've actually got over 103 countries registered in total. So these people that are coming, they aren't representing their country, but what you can expect to see is an awful lot of national pride. So you'll see their colours, you'll hear them singing their tunes. They'll be very proud to point out where in the world they're from. So that, I guess, is a bit of an update on where things are at in terms of sport. The other pillar in terms of the social pillar that we've talked about previously is the fact that we'll have an entertainment hub down on Queen's Wharf. So this is a place where during the day, because the event is taking place during the school holiday period, we hope that families and young people will come down, learn more about the benefits of being healthy and active right throughout life. And then into the afternoons and evenings, it becomes far more of an entertainment zone. And for us, we hope this will be a location where many of our 27,000 participants will come to, but likewise Aucklanders, because that provides an incredibly unique opportunity for locals to demonstrate the fantastic Kiwi hospitality that we are so famous for. So I guess 37 days to go. There is a lot underway already, but there are some big things that you can expect to see. So as of the 1st of April, you'll start to see us transforming the city in terms of a general livery and dressing point of view. So that'll flow through both airports, out into the public domain, and of course across our 48 competition venues. Our accreditation centre opens on the 16th of April down on Queen's Wharf, so that's where our 27,000 plus people have to come between the 16th and the 21st of April to collect all of their accreditation materials, their timing chips, their bibs, etc. We then move into the opening ceremony on the 21st, and then we move into an incredibly intense period of sporting activity. The entertainment hub I mentioned earlier will run from the 22nd to the 30th of April, and then we would conclude everything on the 30th with a closing ceremony, and that will also see us officially hand the baton over to the Kansai region of Japan. So that is it for me in terms of a general update of what you can expect to see over the next wee while. Thank you to all of you that are following us and helping us to share the messages and the content. I guess the message that we're trying to get out there now is slightly different to what we have been over the past few years, where we've been trying to drive athlete registrations and volunteer applications. Things have gone phenomenally well in that space. So now it's really about making sure that Aucklanders are aware of the amount of vibrant activity that will be taking place over this 10-day period, and that Aucklanders are really embracing the opportunity, because it certainly is a once-in-a-lifetime occasion that our region will be hosting. So thank you for your time. I'm very happy to take any questions.
Lovely, thanks Jenna. We could probably do a couple of questions. Sir John.
Thank you. How are you getting on with accommodation? I know you're struggling a little bit. Has it improved at all?
So accommodation, I think it would be one of the greatest challenges we've had over the course of this 4-year journey. We don't feel the pricing moved to the extent that it needed to really help us. So what we've had to do as a result of that is actually find a number of alternative accommodation options for our athletes to consider. So we partnered with Airbnb, we partnered with My Way, which is the camper van equivalent of Airbnb. We've contracted the vast majority of school boarding houses across the Auckland region. And we've also got a temporary camper van park that AET has worked with the Ellerslie Racecourse to establish there. So based on what we're hearing from our athletes, we do feel that those coming from outside of Auckland have found solutions that have worked for them. But I think people have looked at finding alternative types of accommodation as opposed to traditional.
Okay. Right, well, Jenna, thank you. That's fantastic update, and I just want to acknowledge everyone who's part of making this happen. It was a huge coup to get the World Masters Games here in Auckland. We know that 4 years ago when you announced it, there was, you know, a little bit of reverb out there in the community about council getting involved in this. You've well over-delivered on every promise you made to us 4 years ago, and for that I want to acknowledge you. I'm happy to move that we thank Jenna for her presentation, seconded by Councillor Collins. I'll put that, all those in favour please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to hand out a pin for each of you, and if you could wear that with pride during the games period, that would be hugely appreciated. So thank you.
We will. Proud Aucklanders all round. Thank you. So while Jenna does that, just to remind people what the next part of the process is. So this is our opportunity to extend on the briefing that we had yesterday. We're going to have Dean as part of the briefing, and I think Ravine, we've got Craig McElroy here and John Dragicevic, but I think it's going to be the Dean and Ravine briefing. And then for the media, there's then directly after this, there's the, I think, the stand-up with our key staff downstairs. So this is councillors' opportunity for a briefing on what's happened in the last 24 hours and how we're moving forward. So, Dean,